Good evening. I am Rhonda Frederick, Associate Professor of English and African Diaspora Studies. On behalf of Boston College's African Diaspora Studies program, I am pleased to welcome you to today's reading by Trinidadian writer Earl Lovelace. And you probably noticed that I mentioned African Diaspora Studies program twice in this very short time. It's because it's a very important program, and if you didn't know about it, you soon will. Mr. Bunch, welcome. I interpret your presence here today, taking time from the complexities of your lives and jobs, classes and exams, as a sign that you understand literature's rebellious potential and a creative writer's activist motivations. If you don't understand these things, I hope this introduction will incite these knowledges in you. Yet, literature is also art, and as such, it can trigger all the personal and universal things that art generates. Miraculousness, spiritual truths, beauty, contradictions, joy. In this context, Earl Lovelace is artist. Since 1965, he has written 7 novels, short story collections, and plays, a selection of which are While Gods Are Falling, The Dragon Can't Dance, Justina's Calypso and Other Plays, and Salt. His artistry has been acknowledged, as it sometimes is, by national and international awards, such as the Commonwealth Writers' Prize, a Guggenheim Fellowship, the Pegasus Literary Award, a Chaconia Medal, and the British Petroleum Independence Literary Award. These lists testify to Mr. Lovelace's guardianship over his calling. Those who love literature, so-called experts and novices alike, remark on how he writes in a popular idiom which derives from an indigenous Calypsonian and Carnivalesque tradition, particularly inviting those traditions' histories of social commentary, protest, and praise. Lovelace takes as subjects of his works the lives and voices of ordinary people, whether the focus is on the poverty-stricken yard culture of Port of Spain or the religious shouter traditions of the rural populations. A feature of his body of work that is also much remarked on is an imaginative vision that he has consistently sustained in different genres, the exploration of a Trinidadian future that builds upon, but is not mired in, the complexities of history, the histories of slavery, indenture, colonialism, and nationalism. This last feature is a truth that motivates what I see as Lovelace's activism. I quote at length from a critical biography presented by the British Council of Arts Group because it nicely captures what I hope you will take away from these remarks. In a talk delivered at University of Kent, Lovelace reflected on the difficulties of negotiating a present in Trinidad still bound by the lingering hangover of colonialism. Stressing the need to build a future in the present alongside the contradictions of the past, Lovelace highlighted above all the need to cut through the rhetorical masks of an easy nationalism, the replaying of different forms of what he calls a predictable victor-victim syndrome. Lovelace elaborates. Come on in. Come and sit. He elaborates, we have to get rid of these postures, comforting as they may seem, for whether it is as supervisor of civilization or victim of oppression, both prevent us from the far more exciting and essential task of building a new and human society. We can only do this from where we are. No one is born into the world. Every one of us is born into a place in the world, in a culture, and it is from that standpoint of culture that we contribute to the world. In a unique combination of artistry and activism, Earl Lovelace embraces and reflects Trinidadians' complexities in terms of race, gender, ethnicity, color, and class, so that the more they understand themselves, what they are doing, the better they begin to engage what they have to do. I think, and I quote, I don't think that rebellion is the end of the day, but certainly to acknowledge that this is what they've been doing is very important, end quote. Lovelace's work has demonstrated from the outset an unwavering commitment to the complex political tensions at work in an island culture, born out of slavery and indenture. Earl's books speak to, speak of, and for those who are not usually the subjects of their own history. His vision, no matter how unique, echoes, clarifies, problematizes, and extends folk preoccupations, wisdom, and philosophy. Earl Lovelace channels and writes, "We read and hear, and then we are compelled to do, whether this doing takes the form of rereading, rethinking, or reliving." So we're here today to learn from, to act on the words of Mr. Earl Lovelace. Please join me in welcoming him and the transformative possibilities of his body of work, and his latest novel is just a movie.
Very good. Good day, everybody. And thank you very much for that wonderful welcome. So I'm very happy to be here. It's not too cold, that helps somewhat. I'm going to read from this book of mine, which is a new novel, as you've heard. It's called Is Just a Movie. And the part that I'm reading from is called actually Is Just a Movie. Right after Carnival, a fella from America come down here to Trinidad, say he making movies in the island. Big announcements, big write-up, front page. He building up the movie industry. Big talk, local talent wedded to foreign technology. This set of shit you hear already. But with the help of the government and the business community, the movie gets underway. They have auditions. I set out to go. As a well-known composer and singer of calypso, a real calypsonian, not just a fellow who sing other people's songs, I don't expect a problem. I will show them. Forget calypso, I will be a movie star. So I go down at the Carib where they're picking people for the parts. Stanley, Errol, Claude, Wilbert, Ralph. Fellas who act with the theater workshop, all of them there. Fellas from Strolling Players, Best Village People, the talent. The fella from America, he have his people, foreign industry, that he bring with him. They give all of us a little test, the audition, to recite from a literary work. Ralph do something from Hamlet, the big speech, to be or not to be. Errol do something from Derek Walcott's Dream on Monkey Mountain, the great macaque speech. Sirs, I am 60 years old and I have lived all my life like a wild beast in hiding. And I do for them a piece of my midnight robber speech. My name is Kankala, maker of confusion, recorder of gossip, destroyer of reputations, revealer of secrets. In the same skin I am villain and hero, victim and victor. I reduce the powerful by ridicule. I show them their absurdities by parody. I make their meanings meaningless and give meaning to meaning. I am the Dame Lorraine presenting in caricature the grotesque of the wicked, the deformity of the stupid, the obscurity of gluttony. I show the oppressors themselves mishappen, grow toto, grow titi, grow bondage. Yes, I portray the big stones man, a bag of boulders bulging from my pants. I am the bigfoot, sorefoot man, the big bottom, big breasted woman. I am the dispenser of affliction. I dance bongo on top the graves of the mighty. Yes, Kankala is my name. But I was born again by a slip of the tongue when one night in the Calypso tent, as I am preparing to sing my song, the master of ceremonies introducing me decided to make his announcement with an American twang. He said, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your song, and this is your singer, King Kala." So suddenly, in the interstice, or shall I say the intersplus of this mispronunciation of Kankala, brought on by this Trinidadian fellow wanting to sound American, calling Kang King, I was reborn to a new vision. I had to find new histories to write, ignored heroes to celebrate. I began afresh to sing. I became the poet of the revolution. Marvelous, the director say, you fellas have talent. Talent, this thing is a little shaky, but it will do. Talent, yes, so they picked me. So I have this role. The role they give me, the same one they give the locals, is a role to die. Local talent, our role is to die. The rest of the people they bring from America, there is the stars, the ones that have lines to speak, lives to live in the movie, of course. Though to read what the newspapers have to say, you would swear I had top billing. Local Calypsonian featured in foreign movie. Yes, and now when I'm walking the road, people looking at me, the featured, pointing me out to their friends. Woman who never talked to me, waving at me, going out of their way to come and ask me for my autograph. Nice woman, local movie star, me. So I get this job to die. It's a kind of jungle picture with a river in it and a trail and a rope bridge and a love story, and natives with headdresses of colored feathers, their splendid bodies bare except for grass skirts, carrying guana packs over the mountains. And they have donkeys. I mean, we have donkeys. Some of us tow the loads on the head. Around us is the enemy, another warring tribe in the bushes, crawling on their bellies, shooting with expert marksmanship. They just shoot you and you're supposed to fall. These shooters are missing at all the script. When you're a little boy and you're playing stick 'em up, the shooter does miss a few times at least before he connects. It is part of the convention of the game. The shooter shoots, you fall or dodge the bullets and make your escape. And since it is not real, since it is make-believe, it is left to you to confirm his marksmanship by agreeing to be wounded or shot dead. There is a certain give and take, reasonableness, like in a fiction, rooted in the idea that life gives everybody a chance, that leaves everybody satisfied whether you are the one shot or the one doing the shooting. The shooter must miss a few times, since it is quite fatal when he connects. But here in this movie, the fellas who shooting, they're not missing at all. The only people who are missing is the fellas from the States, the stars. Their lives are charmed. Errol is smiling, talking about the stars. Their lives are charmed. Errol is an actor who looked on at the rebellion of 70 and kept his distance. He feels deeply, so much of life pains him and delights him. He is alarmed, astonished, outraged, and for him that is enough. I mean, he doesn't feel the need to go beyond feeling to action. His job is to feel, to bear witness with his heart. He emerges less a moral superior than a barometer of emotion. Now he had taken grief to a new height. His words sound like poetry. His laughter is deepest pain. Their lives are charmed. I going over this ravine on a rope bridge. Blam, 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 shots all around, fellas falling except fellas from the States. All around me, fellas falling left and right, blap, 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 like flies. Like how you see natives fall in a Tarzan picture. As the people shoot, they fall in, they drop in dead just so. Then I get shot. Even in a movie, I don't want to die on a rope bridge with Barna pack on my back. But this is the script. They shoot you, you have to die. That is what they pay me to do, to die. I get shot, I hold my shoulder wounded, and I scramble across the bridge, and blam, they shoot again, and I start to fall. I have to fall. But something holding me back. My conscience, my pride. Something is not right. And I look across at Stanley and Errol and them for a cue how to die, since they are experienced actors, real actors. But Stanley and Errol, all of them, all these fellas, good men, good actors, they're just falling down and dying just so. And I, in confusion, looking at them fall, thinking, how could an actor, a man like Errol, fall so? But wait, I see when it hit me what was happening. Wait. What is this? And for a moment, I am torn. I don't want to upstage Errol and Stanley and them. But same time, there's a voice in my mind shouting, no. I ain't falling so. I can't follow them. I ain't dying so. No, man. No. Even when I was a kid playing stick 'em up and I get shot, I composed my dying like a poem. There was poetry in my dying. When I get shot and I start to die, I hear the theme music of the movies. I turn to the bite of the bullets. My knees buckle, my hands reach out, and I hold on to the last, a little piece of the world, the sky, the air. My eyes open and I fill them with the wonder of trees singing, birds in the verandas of their branches, the roar of women in the marketplace, the noise of children at the playground, people quarreling, lovers undressing each other. I move into a dance, feeling the blood of life leaving my head. I breathe in the fragrance of ripe guavas, turn into the smell of crushed corally leaves, hearing the last drum roll, cymbals crashing, seeing the lights growing dim, waves beating onto the shore, fish leaping silver. That was when I was a little boy playing. Dying was a performance. I was at the center of my own dying. Now here was I, a grown man, in a real movie, and I was dying like an ass, like a fool. And I actually see myself beginning to fall, following the lead of fellows who I respected. I see myself falling when out of the corner of my eye, I glimpsed this man, one of the fellows, one of our fellows, get shot. And this man flings up his arms as if he is lifted by the shot. And he holds them spread out there above his head like a stick fighter whose charge is arrested by his parrying of a blow, and he sways, stretching them away from his body like he crucifying a cross, or like his carnival day and he playing a big mass, a big hooray of a wild Indian, the rise of Montezuma or something, with a teepee for a headpiece, the tassels on the sleeves of his jacket hanging down like a curtain of fern, his cape spread out behind him, the music blaring, da-da, 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 and he in front of the audience in the savannah, and he's training to hold the headpiece, to hold it steady, to prevent it from toppling, and he remained balanced there for an eternity. Then he sinks down slow to his knees, his hands on his heart, the blood leaking out his chest, his eyes gazing at the ground with that look that those paintings show Columbus and Cortez and those conquistadores have in their eyes when they are about to kiss the ground of the land that they just discover and conquer and claim in the name of Isabella, the Queen of Spain. But this fellow's eyes is not an ocean of arrogance. They don't have in them the greed or bombast. In them is the piety, the awe, the pity, as if just as he was discovering the land, discovering life, he had to leave it. I applauded him. there was the death I would have died. The man dying so magnificently, the author of that extravagant and magnificent dying was Sonny Boy. Inspired, I fling out my arms too in the beautiful movements of the dance of my childhood and begin the exquisite choreography of my dying. Cut, the director say. Cut it. Because the director don't like how we dying at all. He doesn't like it. And even the fellas, they are the same fellas, my countrymen, who go through a boyhood like my own, and who should know, who must know the conventions of the shooting game, the same very fellas looking at me and Sonny Boy as if we commit some kind of crime. The quality of our dying is an embarrassment to them. We dying too slow. We wasting too much of the white people's time. Too extravagant, Errol says, too colorful. Rookie, Claude says, as if they have some superior notion of how a man who is shot is supposed to die. All of them start to laugh, this, that, laugh, by which the less courageous of us were subdued. What do you expect from a Calypsonian? I spoke to them, I said, gentlemen, I want you to know that this is the last moment of my life. This is the last moment. This is not my dying. This is my last living moment. But no, the director don't want it so. No. Sir, I ask him, sir, you think it fair to ask somebody to die just so? To fall and crumble just so without leaving at his dying some memorable gesture? You think it right in a situation where all that you have been given to do, where the total span and compass of the work you are employed to perform is to die, to do it, to die so unremarkably? But he swing his head and toss his mane. Budget, shooting schedule, time constraints. He believes that that kind of dying, that expression of meaning belongs to the stars. He has stars to do that, he tells me. But, I pointed out to him, I do not see the stars getting killed. Something that we in this part of the world have been familiar with over a lifetime of watching movies. Star boys don't die. They are the ones that endure. And even at the end, if one dies, if perchance, according to my friend Bispat, quoting what he remembered of his Shakespeare, if perchance one should be killed, you know him. He doesn't need his death. You have seen him live his life. I am the one dying. I need my death to live. And sir, I said, call me Max, he says. Call him Max, the Trinidadian natives echo, jubilant as if they just get a holiday. Max, I said, the word like a weight on my tongue. Max, I feel misled. Here I am, a native robbed of my life and now of my dying. Remember, I continued, that after this death I have no further part in the picture, unless you need me to die again. I know it's your picture. I know I am not the star boy. But even so, you can't rob me of that honor. Errol challenged, his voice gurgling with sarcasm, his cheeks bunching, his teeth showing. No, not honor, right. No matter what your plot, we are human, who would each like to leave our individual mark, our human signature on our efforts. And it is as human we must die. Hear, 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 cried Wilbert and Claude in unison. Hear, hear, you're talking, boy. Yes, I was talking. I was speaking in full flight. I had a voice. I was on the floor. And if it is your pleasure, if according to your script, according to your script writer, if it is your pleasure that I must get shot, If if you shoot me indiscriminately and casually, letting me die so obscurely that people watching this picture can't even see me in the background in the bush toting the loads for your expedition on my head. If you say I must die, at least allow me the space to die how I want to die. But he wouldn't budge. And the Trinidadian fellas, my countrymen, not giving me no support. I tried to talk to them. Listen, fellas, I see Stanley, Errol, Claude, Ralph, Devendra. Errol, it's like you don't know who you are. You are among the best actors in the world. You have at least earned your dying. Don't let this joker treat us so. It is just a movie, Errol said. And as if to point us away from the pathos, the pain in the statement, he said again, this time with half a laugh to give us the direction we should take. It's just a movie. And you had to listen past the chuckle in his laughter to the subtle agony bubbling in his voice, the sadness, the grief, the truth, the tears of a capped-down rage. Is just a movie. Let us get together, I plead, and live the last moment of this life with some dignity. You can't fire everybody. It's just a movie, the answer in chorus. Something between the corrective sternness of a parent and the mindless recitation of children on a school stage. Max is the director. He's the boss, the chorus. Max is the boss, Errol says, with that double and triple meaning. And you, I ask, who are you? We, I, me, and I could hear the metallic ring of the me like a note struck on a steel pan. I just put in a day work. I can't sing calypso like you. And I certainly not a badger like your revolutionary partner, Sonny Boy. No, they were ridiculing me. They laughed. Worry with Sonny Boy, they said snidely. Sonny Boy just doing this for kicks, for the excitement, for sports. Sonny Boy just showing off. You're getting paid to die how the director said to die. Now they were vexed with me and more vigilant about the man's business than their own. Just dead and get on with it before you muddy the water for everybody else. If you want to die in style, make your own picture. Yes, star in it. You and your partner, Sonny Boy. Errol say again and the others laugh. Yes, it's just a movie. You don't need to make style. Style. You want to deny me style? Errol, I am dying and you want to deny me style? What is so serious about, they ask. What else do I have but style? Yes, what you're so serious about? No, fellas, what else but style? I found myself screaming. Then I caught myself. Yes, what was I so serious about? What the hell? I mean, I didn't want to appear to be superior to them, to embarrass them. They were my partners. I wanted to be one of them, one with the crowd. And for a moment I seek refuge in laughter, in the joke that would absolve me of any deeper responsibility and give me the support of their company. What they paying you to do, they asked? They paying me to die, I said loudly, my whole head on fire, the crowd spurring me on. I will die how he said to die. Yes, I said aloud, it is just. Yes, they encouraged relief that I had fallen in line. Yes, they cry, yes, it is just a movie. It is just a movie. And I joined them in the laughter, but they're still uneasy. Then in the next scene we had to die again. In the bush this time, obscured by plants and vines, part of the foliage. I am just a blur in the background. Just ahead of me is Sonny Boy. And the shooter, a native from another tribe, released bullets to his heart, to his head. The shot so intense that he started jumping and dancing and walking in that electric breakdown spasm that you see those fellas perform in gangster movies when shots slam into their body, and the inevitable death is delayed by this frenetic dance in salute of life. And in the middle of his ballet, the director calls, "Hey, you, cut, cut." That is not what we want. Sonny Boy does not move. He stands up there, his body coiled in an inexpressible anger and outrage and surprise and grief. I thought he was going to speak. Sonny Boy is calm. He lifts both hands, palm open like in surrender. The cameraman stops filming. They turn off the lights. The men look at each other. And right there, Sonny Boy take off the feathered headpiece of the costume, unhook the rings from his nose. From his waist, he unbelts the band of the grass skirt they had given him to wear, and he drops them with his spear right there. And for a moment, he stands up there in his shorts, slightly comic, looking bemused, as if he had surprised himself and now didn't know what other move to make. It was as if the spontaneity of his action had faced him with the self hidden in himself. It was a self that he was thrilled with and alarmed by, and almost in a daze, as if he now had no choice but to be the fella he had unclothed. He made one step, then another, and with that fella's legs, he walked away. I could see the others, the crowd of them, their grass skirts below their bellies, gathered together like the members of a choir of penguins in a helpless flutter of alarm. Sensing what might have been his bewilderment, they gathered the courage to laugh at Sonny Boy, at the fool he had made of himself. Until I begin to take off my headpiece too, and my nose rings, and my amulets, and my leggings, and my grass skirts. We stand facing each other, me and they, as in a pantomime in which they are portraying the righteous members of a tribal council, and I am the dissident member they are ordering into exile. In a pantomime, I would leave the stage for this number and would return for the next one. But I am not going to return. This is not a pantomime. I'm not playing. Thank you. Very good, very good.
We have some time for some questions, some encouragement for Mr. Lovelace to read a little more, or I could ask questions.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I think we have one request for a little more. We have two requests for a little more.
Well, what about the questions? Yes.
What year is this novel set in?
What year? It is really between from 1970 to the present, more or less, you know.
So the scene would be present moment, or
Yeah.
the scene you read to us?
You mean you don't think it's present?
I'm just wondering.
But I'm asking.
No, I took it to be present, but I'm just wondering, especially in the history of film, I'm just wondering where we might have been in the history of film, if it was even in the 70s, for instance. But because it could have been.
I think it could be today, right? I mean, if you know the Caribbean. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Any other question? Mm-hmm.
I'm fascinated by just throughout your novels how you are so engaged with the notion of personhood, selfhood. I mean, excerpts you just read, you know, it might seem, you know, far-fetched to think, you know, it's in a movie where you're just, you know, extra, to be so adamant about asserting that humanity, asserting that personhood. But it sometimes runs through your novels. I'm thinking of Breaking Dance, for example. And, you know, sort of, you know, Aldrich's kind of fight for, you know, that notion of humanity among people of the art. What makes you so, not just fascinated, but engaged in, you know, your fiction? I think one talks about your activism. What makes you so engaged with this notion?
Right.
And I'm asking that to tell you this in a way too, but in the present moments in the Caribbean, like, why is this so important for you, your fiction?
Well, I suppose basically I don't think anybody could be so brave to believe themselves to be more important than anybody else, or requiring to be a person more than anybody else. So, I mean, from that perspective, I'm looking at the ordinary person, if you want, you know. And also I'm concerned about that, especially in the case of the Caribbean, where a lot of us came to the Caribbean, or for parents at least, stripped of name and rank as very ordinary people. And I think that if we have any offering to make, really, is to consolidate the idea of the humanity of ordinary people, you know. So I think that that is one of the ideas, you know, that fuel, if you want, that concern, but it's a concern too that in my own life, you know. So it's not a literary concern, it's a belief, you know, that is how people should be, and people must engage that and stand up for it, you know.
I have I guess a question that starts with a story. I was on the train coming to work early one morning, it was before 9, and there was a really, really drunk boy getting on the train at the same time. And he was trying to use his phone to call somebody, and he finally like swayed over to me and asked me to use my phone. And I was very judgmental. I was like, you're drunk first thing in the morning, no, you're not going to use my phone, I'm going. But after I get off the train, I realized that I didn't see the possibilities of what led to this man being drunk at 9 o'clock in the morning, and why he might have needed to get in touch with somebody. So I guess now to my question is that, how do you learn to see meanings, right? Because I saw this, all I saw was drunk first thing in the morning. But after I got off, I started to think that there might have been more meanings, that I could have been more useful to this person, right? And I see in the piece that you read that Kankala's friends did not see meaning. They saw the surface of him being ostentatious, but they could not see other meanings in what his behavior, in his behavior, and they couldn't interpret it.
Well, I think that sometimes it's very difficult for people to risk interpreting it, you know. So that I don't think that they didn't really see. I think that they were trained not to see, so they didn't give themselves the chance to see. That is, and then it became an excuse, as it is an excuse, and it is a way of not, I mean, you know, rationalizing our behavior in the face of things which perhaps might seem more challenging if we took another view, you know. But in your own case, in the case of the fellow who you met who was drunk, and how to discern that, would he be a certain person who, you know, deserve your help? I think it has to do with you and what you're prepared to risk. You could decide to say, okay, let me risk this. He might turn out to be whoever he turns out to be. I'm going to do what I have to do. And he will do who he is, you know. So, but you know that you're going in with the risk, you know. Yes.
I don't know if you're going to tell me, but I just wanted to ask you, like, when writing and composing the book, what was your rhetorical intention? So, like, by the end of it, what would you want somebody to believe with? At least from like a political or.
Well, I think that I would want people to live with quite a number of things. You know, I think I'd want them to have a sense of their own responsibility to themselves, if you want, and to what it is to be human, if you want, And also I would want also to give them a sense that, that you don't have to be right, that you don't have to be any particular thing to be somebody, as well as, of course, to help them understand perhaps, the whole historical period a little better and how people have responded to it, But basically, I would say is to help us to see each other as human, not in a nice, especially nice way if you want, but that be really human, that be really, the other is really human, however they behave, and also to learn to perhaps empathize with them or challenge them too, because to say that is not to say that one is saying, yeah, go ahead and do all kind of stupidness, one is not saying that at all. How do you challenge people? But you have to challenge them on the basis of at least accepting them as human. That's what I suppose I'm saying. I know you're human, that's why I have to challenge you. I don't feel that you are any particular other kind of animal. You are human. Exactly because you're human, you have to be challenged to hold up the ideals that you yourself sometimes present. And just to go on, and I think that one of our big problems is that we don't challenge on that basis. We feel that once someone has power, that they're not responsible even to themselves. Yes.
I'm curious why you decided to make a film being so central to this novel. What does it allow you to do that you haven't done in other novels? I mean, partly in the section you read, it seemed as if it was one way of kind of indexing the relationship between the U.S. and the Caribbean and the kind of imbalance. But it also seemed as if there was a commentary perhaps on the kind of way in which capitalism and a certain kind of hyper-capitalism really shuts down possibilities, because at least the alibi that they're giving is it's too much time, it's too much film, we can't sort of slow down long enough to let you play your death out. So I just wanted you to talk a little bit about that.
Well, I think that one of the concerns is really, yes, with these factors, but also with his friends, with the very Trinidadian natives. What do we allow? Who are we? How do we see ourselves? And I think that for me is, in fact, a kind of urgent question, So I think that is one thing. And then there's something else you said.
Just why you chose to have the film be so central to the novel. What did it allow you to do that other novels you haven't been able to do in other novels?
Well, I think that you sometimes writing the same novel all the time or trying to deal with the same things, and kind of more or less kind of updating it or understanding a little more, or understanding the fine print, as it were, and some of the complexities a little better, But you're on the same beat, if you want, You're saying, wanting to try to say the same kind of things, Yeah.
Just to pick up on Tim's question a little bit, it seems like the role of the artist is important in this, is it not? I mean, the maker of Calypso is an artist, and the film seems wholly a commercial enterprise, not one intending any kind of authentic vision. And I like the way you sort of stage a debate between, in the Trinidadian community, about the actors, and Calypsonian wants to give them their full due as artists, and yet they don't seem to be taking up the mantle of the artist. They're investing in the commercial enterprise. Do you want to speak a little bit more about how you're thinking about that?
Well, I think that the film is the artist in the film industry as well, and that it doesn't have to be principally a commercial enterprise. In fact, the maker of the film here is challenged as well as the fellows who allow themselves to perform in that kind of fashion, because the maker of the film has a responsibility as well. The maker of the film, not because he's making the film and it's his film, he could do what he wants. Not because one has power, whether you are a teacher or whatnot, you could do what you want, because you have that power. You have something that you have to be responsible for. And two, and I think that part of the artist's task might be to remind us what we're responsible to, and that indeed we are responsible. So, yes, it is kind of seen as a commercial enterprise, but it is exactly because, within the framework of the commercial enterprise, one fellow is claiming his life, saying, okay, look, I'm not allowing myself to die so. But on the other hand, the person making the film also has to lay claim to his life. The people who making the film also have to be responsible to what it is to be human. They're not exempt from it. And one of the problems that I think we have had in general is to allow them to be exempt from it, as if it's another creature living in another space. We all live in here. I'm sounding like a preaching.
That kind of links me to my question about your use of the Calypsonian, and you've talked about this in interviews before, but since you're here, just if you could talk a little bit more about...
I find that tired using the Calypsonian now. I've used the Calypsonian a couple of times, because as someone who really is a singer and speaking to the place, and also to help perhaps, well, I don't know that he needs help, but sometimes the very form needs help to understand what its mission is and so on. At least to present it as, I think too, I was trying to perhaps present him as a writer, but I don't know. But anyhow, he ended up being a Calypsonian. And I suppose for some reasons, he had to sing. Although I could have a singing writer,
Because, my follow-up to that would be, what other models do you envision who, in terms of characters or narrators who would have the kind of literary and cultural and political value that you find in the Calypsonian?
Well, even this novel here, there's the Pierrot Grenade, there's a lot of, figures who carry on a kind of commentary and who can speak. And the beat of this is really the Pierrot Grenade, which is Pierrot Grenade, which is the Grenadian Pierrot being prince, and it coming out of that. And it's a figure of kind of ridicule, but a figure that makes fun of the politics and a whole number of things around, but has a steady voice or an identifiable voice. They don't exist so much anymore, in reality, but it's something that has come down to us. Then there's the robber, the midnight robber, which is close to that too. There's another voice, because all these are people who speak. And the midnight robber, there's a robber speech in here somewhere. Right. Are you not afraid? Are you not afraid to walk this long, lonely road where I, this bloodthirsty Terminator, performs his daring crimes? For I live today when men who seek to destroy me are all dead. I can bite off the moon and and so on. There's another a kind of inverted praise singer. So there are a few figures who speak. Mm-hmm.